Welcome into another edition of the Rap Sunbelt Syndicate podcast, as you know, with myself, Dominick, Crosetto, and Marvin Dickens. I got the full name yet again, Marv.
There you go. Once again, I feel like my mom's going to come out of the corner and throw something at me.
No mom's here, just some guys talking football. We already got Ben jumping in the chat saying what's up and Wolves up. He's mentioning the hard-fought game that they saw he personally saw between A-State and Southern Miss. We'll get to that one. That one was pretty good there at the end for sure. And saying, shout out to his backup, doing a good job despite the interception in the end zone. And Artie Cat is back even after what transpired on the field between the Cajuns and the Bobcats. Artie coming back around saying, what's up? What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in and joining with us. Yes. So Artie's mentioning it, so I'll say it too. Happy 250th birthday to the United States Marine Corps. My Marine Corps father is here at my house in town this weekend. And so definitely part of why I'm wearing what I'm wearing, which is, Marv, I believe this is your favorite app logo that we have, right?
It is. If it was the black instead of the white, like the black sweatshirt with the A with the American flag in, it's my absolute favorite.
Gotcha. So you like it paired with the black. I like that too. This is obviously hard to keep clean, but this is a clean look with the white. And then I've got the camo hat on. It's Carolina Hurricanes. I don't have any camo hats of Sunbelt teams, so forgive me for that. But
Yes, you do. At baseball.
Oh, the Absolute Baseball one. Yeah, that's true. Is that like a military camo though? That's more like
it's more of a hunter's camo than it is military.
Yeah. Oh, what's up, Caleb Seaver? One of our writers from sunbeltsyndicate.com. No free ads except for ourselves. Texas State will find a way to lose every conference game except South. Book it. Yes, because Caleb is a South Alabama guy. So
I'm going to look this up, but I think Texas State might hold a Sunbelt or maybe a national record for most one-possession games lost. I mean, I know they've had a couple overtime games, but, man, they have been in a ton of close games and just haven't figured out how to win them.
Well, that's what's crazy. I think people look at it and go, oh, Texas State's awful. Well, record-wise, yes. But if you think that you could pair them up with somebody from another conference and that they would lose just because they have a losing record in ours, I think you're totally mistaken. I mean, that team can beat people. They got to do something about the defense. That's been their downfall. Their offense can score points. Yeah.
Let's just look it up here. Lost to UTSA less than one possession. They lost to Arkansas State by 1 point, lost to Troy in overtime, lost to Marshall in double overtime, and then lost this one right here to Louisiana by 3 points.
So that's 5 games right there.
2 of them in overtime, and the one before the 2 overtime games was a 1 point loss.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy stat. Ben did say that, and I saw this from Ben himself, sharing a picture with me in message, and then I saw it from Kara Ritchie before Saturday saying A-State gave out a camo hat with American flag logo for A-State as well. I think it was the one that has the big A in the middle and says State. I think it was that logo there. Unsharp looking hat. I asked both if anybody had any extras, and no one seemed to. Artie says, I told you guys months ago that after the Nichols game, this team wasn't very good and couldn't afford to make mistakes. And yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, but I don't think they're as bad as the record indicates. Like, I think there's people that would sit there and think, oh, we'll just walk all over this team. You won't do that, right? They're still competitive, as Marv just spouted out. All those losses that are extremely close losses.
They lost 5 games. Let's say that the ball bounced the other way, cliche, right? In 40% of those. So you win 2 and you lose 3, they're above 500, right? Like
right.
They're not as bad as they seem. But yes, when you're constantly in those close games and it's a coin flip, ball bounce kind of thing, you can't make the mistake. So I got some pretty interesting notes on that game. And then obviously we'll talk about the little extracurriculars that happened after the game. I think Artie probably started the fight after the game, but we'll talk about that when we get to it.
Damn you, Artie. Yeah, he might have had something to do with that. It might have been
Can I make a funny joke about what Ben just said? He said they only gave gave them away to the first 1,000 fans. Well, Arkansas State gave a lot of things away on Saturday. We'll talk about that in a little while too. Sorry, Ben.
Yeah, that's rough. A couple quick notes that we'll hit beforehand. As Marv reminded me before we went live, number 24 in the AP poll, James Madison. We have a ranked team for the first time all season. That won't be easy to keep with what's all going on and what they're going to have to do. But we do have one, and it's a big deal because right now they are looking at the inside slot for the CFP. Obviously, there's a lot of American fans who don't believe with the same as we do. But right now, they look like the front runner. Possibly, we'll see. Is it Tuesday night that the CFP rankings come out, right, Marv?
It is, yeah. But I texted you guys yesterday. I was watching college football final. Actually, that was this morning. Jamie was getting a lot of love and well deserved. 8-1, definitely on a roll. And they got App this weekend, and not saying it's going to happen, but the last time they were ranked and had App at home, it didn't go their way. Then they've got Washington State.
Yep.
Yeah. So Simulated Sports Project. So do you think App State will continue their win streak against JMU next week? As an App fan, gotta hope so, because we got to win 2 of our next 3 just to go to a bowl game. So yeah, I hope so. But I don't know. This JMU team looks really good, and we'll talk about App here in a second. I'm not sure what that team is.
Yeah, that's a good point. Right before we get into that game, Corey Rucker, not only the all-time leading receiver for A-State now at this point, he is the all-time leading receiver in the Sunbelt Conference, and I do have to give a shout-out to Kara Ritchie for putting that on Twitter. I did not realize that had just happened this weekend, but he is now the all-time leading receiver for all of the Sunbelt. Folks, you'll be seeing him on Sundays very shortly. Trust me. He is a playmaker. He's got the size to go with it. So definitely keep your eye out for Corey Rucker next fall as well. His career in football will not be over after his stop at A-State. That's for sure. And Caleb's got a question or maybe a comment here. Maybe a scenario for 2 group of 5. Duke still controls their destiny Duke still controls their ACC destiny to the championship. 4-loss Duke, 1-loss JMU, 2-loss Tulane with head-to-head. I got to be honest, I just don't see any world where they actually put 2 group of 5 teams in the playoff. What do you think, Marv?
No, not unless if JMU and Tulane both win out, and the ACC is doing what the ACC does in football and just cannibalize each other. Unless Tulane and JMU were both ranked inside the top 15, I don't see it.
Yeah, I now it would come down to the famous argument: most deserving versus best. And let's be honest, we can make this argument very quickly. If you've left out an undefeated Florida State ACC team, they ain't putting 2 group of 5 teams in. They're just not going to do it.
Conversation over.
Yep, exactly. There's just there's nothing more to say about that. Unfortunately, I would love to see it. I think sometimes it would be earned, but I just don't think it's going to happen. All right, getting back into the action. This one wrapped up Thursday. I was lucky enough to be credentialed. Thanks and shout out to App State for doing that and doing the first football game for myself. We've had people for the Syndicate credentialed for many other events in the past, but this was my first one personally. So that was a pretty cool experience. Marv, you were over in the fancy seats. But this one, yet again, did not go the way App State faithful, fans, players, whoever. It didn't go the way people thought it would, even being at home.
Yeah. It was did you hear the boos come out a couple times at the stadium?
Yes, I did.
I'll say this as an App fan. After coming off a bye week with your hated rival coming into town, with a chance to get within 1 game of bowl eligibility, to come out as flat and lethargic and unexpired as it was just frustrating to see. I mean, Georgia Southern was up 22-3 at one point. Defense played okay, forced them to a whole bunch of field goals, but offense just never got in rhythm. Georgia Southern made all the plays when they needed to make the plays to extend drives or to keep us off the field. And AJ threw just a a bad interception down in the end zone where I sit, forcing a ball that he didn't need to force. It was just frustrating to watch and be a part of. But once again, coming off a bye week to come out and play that bad for that long it was terrible to see.
Yeah. And it was right from the start, right? The first two plays of the game were first down throws with wide open guy with room to run. The third play from scrimmage was a touchdown pass. And it just was kind of how the night was going to go. Like you said, the defense did get better. They did slow them down and stop them a few times, but the offense just could not do much of anything until it was like too little too late. And like you said, the thing that kind of sealed the deal was AJ's ill-advised throw on, and I think you reminded me it was a first down play too.
It was first down at probably the 23-yard line. Just, I think there were 6 minutes left in the game at that point. So any points there, you get the ball back, and then you can go and win the football game. Just to throw that on first down off your back foot to a double covered receiver and not get the ball where only your receiver could get it when he had Barnesy wide open in the flat. I guess he obviously just didn't see him. Just really, really, really bad decision. Unfortunately, he's thrown a lot of red zone or plus zone interceptions this year. And, just coming into the game, Georgia Southern had one of, if not the worst ranked rushing defenses in the Sunbelt. We couldn't run the ball against them. Not saying that they didn't make adjustments in their bye week, but just frustrating. Offense looked flat. Like I said, defense settled in a little bit. I mean, you think we give up a touchdown on the first drive, then Georgia Southern goes for 2, which I get it on the road. Yeah. I will be aggressive, whatever. I don't know, but it could have come back to bite them in the butt there. And then they forced 4 field goals, or actually 5 attempts, 1 miss. But, just offense couldn't get it done. French goes 25 for 37 for 352 sitting in the stands. It did not feel like he threw for 352 yards, but you go back and look at it, and he did. O.J. Arnold, 20 carries for 105. Marcus Sanders, 6 catches for 127. Camden Brown, 6 catches for 97 yards. Jaden Barnes did have an absolute career day for App State, 13 catches for 160 yards. But, just uninspired performance by App State. It was the boos were well deserved. This football team is struggling, in my opinion, to find an identity, and to do it at home on national TV against those guys was just bad.
Yeah, the return of Brendan Harrington, he got his revenge. But you know what was good, and we posted the video from it. I got to take it from the press box, so I had a good view of it. I was very interested to see the interactions between him and former teammates and coaching staff that was still around, which is almost nobody really, I guess. But, I'm sure there's maybe some analysts and whatnot that were still around. I didn't know exactly how it would go. Harrington is the kind of guy who talks to get himself into the game, to keep himself involved, to pump himself up, to pump his teammates up. He was a captain for one of those reasons. But he can be loud, right? Like he's just a guy who's going to talk during the game, and you saw that throughout the game. So I thought it was interesting to see what transpired over there. He had a teammate of his that was acting a fool a little bit, but Harrington was greeted with what I saw was nothing but love from all his former teammates. So I thought that was good to see, because you don't want something to transpire after the game. And it looks like whatever was held against App and why he left didn't seem to be teammate oriented, right? Like it was echelon or money issues.
It was coaching staff oriented from everything that I hear. For people that don't know his story, I mean, he was at 5 years, suffered through a couple season-ending surgeries. He was an app guy in today's world of transfer portal and NIL. Like a lot of people leave, like he stayed, and to see him go to your rival stung. So it could have gone either way with the interactions, but you're right. The video you posted, now I did hear some people in the stands giving him a hard time. But that's to be expected. But it looked like his teammates had nothing but love for him after the game.
Yeah. I will have to say this. I'm going to defend him and give you some reason. I mean, a lot of people say the same thing. Coastal players were awful to us in the stands. I'm like, guys, maybe not you specifically, okay? But there are all kinds of people in the stands yelling all kinds of things to those kids, and they finally get to say, "Hey, guess what? We won." So they're going to come back at you, and it may not be specific to you. you're just going to hear it because they're yelling to the guy who yelled at them all game long. And who knows? It's probably not clean, and it was probably kind of the same way. So I've seen Coastal clips of them responding to guys in the stands. I heard Georgia Southern was doing a lot of the same stuff. It may not be you in the stands, but it's coming from somebody up there. They ain't just doing it for no reason. Okay, so I can't sit there and be like, oh, these our fans are innocent and these guys are just terrible people as they're do all these motions. They're getting it from the other fans that you maybe not seeing or paying attention to, but it's being done. I've heard it, I've seen it myself. You can't tell me otherwise. So yeah, I don't have a hard time with that. If they came into the stands, yeah, don't do that. But yeah, if they're going to talk their talk, they're going to be allowed to do that. So I just wanted to bring that up because I see a lot of people say, "Oh, they're terrible, but kick them off the team." No, guys, it's just ridiculous. It's football, it's passion.
Every stadium you go into, whether it's your team or another team, there's people chirping at the opposing player. So yeah, and let's face it, they're 18 to 20-year-old kids out there playing a pretty physical game. They got a little bit of adrenaline running through their body. That's how that fight or flight response is how you're gonna react.
Exactly. I it's what they need to get themselves going, and they're gonna let it out because of it's a passionate game. That's why we watch. That's why we care. That's why we keep packing the stands. Unless you're Arkansas State, and we'll get to that. But James Madison goes into Marshall. And this is a big deal, right? This was Marshall 75 game. This is where they honor the lives and the people lost in the 1970 plane crash. It's what the movie We Are Marshall is about, to kind of teach you about that whole situation and the program itself. They pride themselves on playing very well in this. They do a special jersey. They do a ceremony. I mean, it's a big deal. So I've seen some people say, well, James Madison barely snuck by. Well, Marshall's playing probably at the highest level that they've played at, not necessarily from top to bottom of the game, but because of what this game means, right? There's an extra added motivation to play better in this game. So, yes, Marshall doesn't have the greatest record going up against James Madison. You're not going to be able to toot your horn and say, hey, we beat these guys. But if you look deeper and understand what this game means, now you understand that this was never going to be an easy win for James Madison to acquire on the road. In this type of an environment. But Marv, what did you see out of this? Because this one was good.
Yeah, this was a good game. It got to a point where it was 28-23. And it just seemed like JMU didn't want to put it away and Marshall didn't want to win it. It just kind of went back and forth. I remember watching several series like, man, are they just going to do quarterback runs the entire time for these couple series? But JMU gets the late touchdown pass to let's see, who was it? 49 pass away Knight. Yeah. Barnett throws, his stat sheet looks good, right? 270 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did throw a pick, but he was 14 for 24 passing. He had an 80-yard touchdown pass in that too. So literally 2 of his touchdown passes and almost half his yards came on 2 plays. Carlos Del Rio Wilson, 16 for 35 for 154. Not an efficient passing game at all. He also ran for 75 yards. But, hey, James Madison gave up points in the second half. Crazy, right? They haven't done that in about a month. But, no, it was a good game. You mentioned, the play for 75. It's an emotional game for Marshall at Marshall. So is there some truth to saying that JMU barely got by? Yeah, it is. That they didn't put them away, but man, Marshall fought hard. They were in that game until the very end. They had their chances and they just couldn't take advantage.
Yeah, they did. I tell you this, and I'm gonna probably try and find this play. I know, unfortunately, we've lost our YouTube TV clip breakdown that TJ gets to do, but that play that you spoke about from Barnett to Wayne Knight to kind of seal this one, it was brilliant. It was movement along the line, and then the snap, the motion tried to draw the team the other way. They faked like everything was going to go to that right side. Then they flank Wayne Knight out to the left, and he is all by himself. But then not only that, Wayne Knight then takes that ball and makes that cut between the 2 defenders there to get into the end zone. And it looked like he was questioning whether he was going to go in.
Yeah, I saw that too. I was like, is he going to go down or is he going to score? He looked a little confused. I think scoring in that situation probably because there was a little bit of there's like 2.5 minutes left at that point. So a lot can go wrong in 2.5 minutes. So scoring there was the right decision. But Marshall had their chances. They fought hard. That's a good football team. And, we get to play both of them here, buddy.
Yeah, I know. Not good for us. Again, I just want to hark on the fact that, by record, this is not a win that James Madison can go tote to the national media and be like, well, look who we just beat. But again, if the national media pays better attention and watches the game too, right? Because we know that if you're saying that you didn't watch this game and how it transpired, because even if you struggle to win a game, but you end up still winning that game by 12 points, I think that should account for something, right? Like, didn't play their best game, still won by 2 touchdowns. Almost two full touchdowns. But yeah, we'll see what the national media does or doesn't do with James Madison, but we know that the AP has respected them enough to put them in their top 25. So that will help a little bit.
Listen, the number two team in the country struggled on the road against a 3-5 Penn State team and needed one of the most beautiful catches you'll ever see, by the way. That foot placement, I could have swore that guy's foot was going to come out of bounds, but he levitates the foot so he can get the back foot down. In conference, on the road, you're going to struggle sometimes. Like, no one's going out and just, knocking the doors off of people every single week. You're going to have games like this. The resilient, good teams are going to win close games like this. So, I don't want to hear that argument.
Yeah. The only other argument I'll make on this is this is why we cheer for all of our teams outside of the conference. Because if we'd have done the work up front and then everyone beats up each other, we're looked at the same as the American, right? Because the American did better taking care of business outside of conference, and now they beat each other up, and now they still got an argument, at least, that they could have 3 of their one-loss teams ranked within a couple weeks here.
Yeah.
They have the argument. I don't agree with it, but they have the argument. Whereas we didn't do well outside the conference, and so now when we beat each other up inside, everyone goes, well, they're just terrible. That's not true, but that's the perspective. So we'll have to see. But we'll move on to the next game. Congrats to James Madison for being ranked. And some of the Syndicate will be in attendance for App State JMU next week, so we'll have some stuff from there, I'm sure. All right, this one, Ben's already got some things to say about this. He says, in reality, the final play, A-State had a chance to win the game. In reality, they did. That's absolutely true. They did have 6 turnovers. Marv's going to probably bring that up. He wanted to defend the attendance, so we'll jump on that first, Marv. He says, well, it's opening day of deer season, so I can defend because it's always in Jonesboro because majority of people in Jonesboro care about deer season. There's not that many people. There's not that many people that just went out there to hunt on the first day of deer season. Otherwise, there'd be no deer left.
Here's what. Well, there's tags. You can't kill them all. Here's what I'll say: as someone that's an avid hunter, I've been in Boone for opening deer season. You go hunt in the morning, and then you go to the football game in the afternoon. Listen, I'm all for an all-day sit in a deer stand. I love it. It's great. But you got to have priorities in life. And if you can check both of them off in the same day, that's what you call winning. So, go hunt in the morning, go to the game in the afternoon. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Now, this was the first time ever A-State kicked off at 11 a.m. So that was a change. I will say it would affect attendance somewhat. But again, 11 a.m., noon game, 11 a.m. game, it's not that different, guys. It's not that crazy. Either way, you're doing a breakfast tailgate, and you just got to be prepared more the night.
Well, that's even more. That's even better if you're a hunter, because then you can get first light, and then you can leave the game and get last light, and it's a win-win.
There you go. You got it. You nailed it down, Marv. I don't know why it took so many other people this much time to figure that out. But
hey, Dom, I just got an update on my phone. Arkansas State just turned the ball over again. No, so I'll jump into this. First of all, Josh Moten, 3 picks in the game. A couple notes. First time since 2002 that Southern Miss has had a guy pick off 3 in a game. That gives him 5 for the season, which ties what he had last season, which is 5. He's got 10 picks in 2 seasons. Don't throw the ball his way. He's going to take it. He's going to take it from me. Southern Miss has won 5 straight. They're absolutely on a roll. Braylon Braxton had some injuries, right? Like he missed a little bit of time in the game. He banged his knee up.
Yeah, he did. He did. I believe he did return.
He did, but 20 for 29 for 228 yards. Landry Liddy, is that how you pronounce the last name?
I believe that's how it's pronounced. Yeah.
4 for 6 for 128. So he came in and threw the ball down the field. Did throw a touchdown. Also ran for a touchdown. Had a pick. But yeah, Jalen Raynor, who had statistically 37 for 48. Right, like that's a really high completion percentage. Threw for 331. He did throw 4 picks. Also had a fumble. So he turned the ball over 5 times. But you touched on earlier, Corey Rucker, 7 catches, 123, all-time sunbelt leader, which is really cool. But to have it in a losing effort kind of stinks, right? Especially at home. But man, 6 turnovers. The fact that they still had a chance to win the game.
Yeah,
6 turnovers is just mind-boggling.
Yes, it is. And like you said, the fact that you had a chance to win the game with 6 is just, I mean, I don't know if the last time or if I've ever heard that, to be honest. So you 3 or 4 is usually enough to lose you the game, and there's no doubt that you're going to lose. Yeah. Maybe some crazy thing happens, and you also have a few of those go your way, and then you get a close game. But 6, and then they only had how many? Oh, they had 2 interceptions. They had 2,
listen, Southern Miss also had 12 penalties accepted for 100 yards. I mean, if you look at the stats, like kind of even on 3rd down, Arkansas State was actually more efficient on 3rd down. Yards were fairly close. Passing yards were pretty close. Rushing yards were kind of close. Time of possession was close. 6 turnovers. It just you can't win a game like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, this one was kind of, as much as and even Butch Jones, going back to the thing, he came out and he's like, "Where are the fans?" He literally, you could read his lips. He says, "Where are the fans?" as they entered the field. That's how much of a shock it was. So few people were there.
They're all sitting in trees.
This was, yeah. But what's crazy is, like, I saw some people say, "Well, if we were, in contention for CFP and we'd been good the past couple of years, there'd have been people there." This was for first place in the West Division. You have the inside track if you win this game because you're beating the only team that's above you in the standings at this time. Because you've already beaten Troy, you'll now have the head-to-head over the top 2 teams in this conference, in the division, I guess I should say.
So it was a big game. There's no excuse. Yeah. You can't marginalize them like, oh, well, we weren't playing for CFP. Like, well, there's only one team in this conference that's playing for that. Like, you nailed the head. You nailed it. Like, you had a chance to have the right to play for a championship game. You still had to win games after that, but man, there's no valid excuse.
No, there's just not. I don't care what thing you. Again, you can go deer hunting all the time. You can go deer hunting Sunday morning. What's the difference between Sunday and Saturday, or like you said, first or last light? I mean, I don't know.
The buck that you've had on camera all fall that you want to kill is going to get killed by your neighbor if you're not in that stand on opening day.
Oh man, if you guys want to hunt some deer, I have some that like go through the neighborhood like all the time. Some of them in my backyard. But yeah, there's plenty here in North Carolina if you want some. But I guess they're really good or really big over in Arkansas or something. But it was just funny that like that's the argument that's being made. And again, I'm sure it's true. I mean, I've lived in, at least in Pennsylvania, where deer hunting was big, and like high school, like a lot of people would be gone from class on deer season, the open of deer season. So I get it. Like it did affect attendance to some degree. Sure. Not that degree. There's, listen, wives, girlfriends, and kids that aren't going deer hunting that could have all gone to this game. Right.
I'm talking crap because the attendance was poor. Opening deer season day is a big day for a lot of people, right. But it's hard to fathom that it's a big day for that many people that also have season tickets.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Or Arkansas State just needs to do a better job of talking to the conference and saying, hey, by the way, this is opening deer season day. Give us an away game, please. We'll play anybody anywhere. Won't schedule us a home game.
Yeah. I hope they're watching football in their deer stands because there's going to be some downtime. So hopefully you got ESPN Plus network capability out there while you're sitting in the stand. But
be very
we'll see. Yeah. All right. We had another team qualify for a bowl, and in this matchup, we finally had a home team collect a win, which is kind of crazy. But so far, 8 games across this series, neither team had ever won at home until Coastal Carolina pulled it off against Georgia State this past Saturday, 40-27 in Conway. And Samari Collier, I mean, I don't. It was the first snap of the Coastal offense.
Yeah, can you get off to a better
start?
85 yards? Can you get off to a better start than that? That's
Nope.
it's a way to spark your team there. But listen, I mean, Coastal's on a roll, 4 in a row. Really the only team in the East that has a chance to potentially, if JMU stumbles a little bit, they're playing pretty good. They figured out how to score points. I think we can officially say that Beck is no longer on the hot seat. It's probably sitting in an air-conditioned seat at the moment. If I was his agent, I'd go talk about an extension. But yeah, 85 yards on the first play, also threw for 3 touchdowns. They kind of had a little bit of a lull there. They kicked 4 field goals in a row in the second quarter and to start the third quarter. But they were up 40-14. Georgia State gets a couple late touchdowns to make it look closer than what it was, but it wasn't a close game. Coastal absolutely controlled it. Georgia State was 3 for 13 on third down, just had a super efficient way to sustain drives and put up points and turn the ball over twice. So Ted Hurst for Georgia State did have a Ted Hurst day, 10 catches, 165 yards and a touchdown. But, man, Coastal's offense looks legit at the moment.
Yeah. Ted Hurst, like you said, and I think we've said before, another Sunday guy coming up.
Another Sunday guy.
Yeah. Zach has been he is a Chanticleer, okay? He is a Coastal Carolina student who is doing our basketball coverage with us, so check that out. Of note, 3 Sunbelt teams did play today or this evening. 2-1 overall. App State, James Madison both won. Southern Miss lost in overtime to South Carolina. So that's a big deal. Southern Miss looking a little bit better there after a kind of a sluggish start in their first game. But Zach has been covering some Southern Miss stuff, so it's kind of interesting. That's why I kind of wanted to loop it all in together. He's saying all 3 of Samari's starts, they have scored 40 points. And guess what? All 3 of those are the last 3 games. So easy to see there. Did you mention the fact he ran for more than he threw? Did you mention that?
No, I did not. But, a lot of dual threat quarterbacks in the Sun Belt. And he's starting to he's only started 3 or 4 games or been the
3.
guy. You got to sustain that, but they could be onto something there. Just hope you can keep him.
Yeah. I mean, he's got to have the legs working to be successful. I don't think anyone's going to sit there and say he's going to pick you apart in the pocket. Is he getting a little bit better? 11 of 18. That's pretty good. He had a really good percentage in the App State game because I remember that one off the top of my head as well. Didn't throw it a ton, but was pretty efficient in those attempts. Did have the 3 touchdowns through the air. But again, he's a big guy. He's going to be very effective running the ball. Some misdirections. We've got some guys that are opening it up. English had a pretty good game. Only 4 receptions, 63 yards, but he did have the 2 touchdowns to get into the pay dirt there. So Neil says not at he didn't pick you apart in the air, although he had that one really, really big throw downfield that went for that late touchdown that probably set Coastal off to really, truly win that game. I think it was that play, right, Marv? That was the one that I actually think they called it incomplete initially. Then when the review came, it was obvious he was in the end zone.
I missed the second half of that game because I had to go to that work function. So if it was in the second half, I didn't see it.
Oh, that's right. Okay, that's right. Yeah, from behind, I was like, when they called him out, I even looked at Seth and I was like, I think he might have been in. And then as soon as they showed the replay one time, all it took me was one time, and I was like, he hit the pylon with his leg inbounds. Like, it was clearly a touchdown, and it was a heck of a throw, probably even a better catch to stay in bounds and all that stuff. Anyway, what I'm saying and what Marv has said in the past is we've got a lot of guys that can do both. He's going to continue to evolve as a passer. He only becomes that much more dangerous. And again, like you said, Marv.
I didn't realize he's a senior. Did not realize that.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was a senior actually either. But is he one of those still has another year of eligibility seniors? Do we know?
Probably.
We don't.
Probably
I know, right?
Probably has 2 years left. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, he'll have a waiver and have 3 somehow. Like that's just what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You
So
can apparently play pro basketball and then come back to college now too, right? You hear this rule?
So going back to Neil's point, at App, he was 12 for 19 for 118 yards and ran for 74 yards. So, I mean, he's not blowing anybody away with his passing stats. 12 completions is the most he's had in a game. That's it. But when you add that threat of running, and like you said, he's a big guy, 6'3", 225, and I think he had 10 carries for 123 yards this game. When you add that into it, and defenses can't just lock in on your passing or spy you to run, because you got to make them respect both. You become pretty dangerous, and 40 points a game speaks for itself.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're scoring that many, you've always got a shot to win, and they've been doing that consistently, as Zach said here recently, and so it's hard to beat anybody like that. We'll see if somebody can key in on them and see if they can shut them down. But the only one that I see left on their schedule is possibly James Madison to slow this guy down. But We'll see what transpires in that. We're not quite to that point yet. And then we'll get to our last game of the weekend. Texas State, winless all time against the Cajuns. One last shot to get it done, but they go down 42-39. But this game looked unquestionable in Cajun favor early, but the Bobcats didn't go to sleep early, right? I mean, they stayed awake late to try and get back in this one, right?
They did. It was day late and a dollar short, right? They get 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, but they were down, as you mentioned, 42-20 going into that. If you just went to the team stats of this game and looked at it, you'd be like, oh, if you didn't have a score to it, you'd be like, oh, Texas State wins that game. 528 yards of total offense to 384 yards. Quarterback had an absolute day. Brad Jackson was 26 for 33 for 360 and 3 touchdowns. Dominated time of possession, 38-22. Just so many things that you would look at, equal in turnovers, right? But some way, somehow found themselves down big and just not enough there at the end.
Yeah, it was kind of a little bit of a comeback. Although, you look at the Cajuns, have an outburst of 28 points in that second quarter. Yeah. Other than that, pretty consistently, down, really. I mean, they scored 1 touchdown in the first. They scored 1 touchdown in the fourth. They didn't score anything in the third. But that 28-point outburst in the second quarter, which made it look like, all right, there's no reason to watch the rest of this game almost. Like, that's how you felt. 28-17 at the half. You're like, okay, they might have just turned it on and now it's not going to get close. Well, if you stuck around, you got a really good game in the end, and you also got some fisticuffs at the end. Artie says it's time for a new AD. Well, it's also time for some people to answer to some questions about why that's got so out of hand. Obviously, part of that is the struggle, I'm trying to think of the word I'm thinking of, but the fact you can't ever beat these guys. Frustration. That's the word I was thinking of. Yeah. The frustration that we just can't beat these guys, right? Like, and this was our last chance to do so. It boiled to as hot as it could. It was funny as Cajun Sports Talk. I want to give them a shout out for grabbing that great video from the press box. I grabbed it and shared it and tried to give them credit, because I know how it feels when someone grabs your video and just says, hey, I'm going to share this as mine. It's not my video. But I want to give them full credit for the capture that they did, because they had a really good view. I saw some from the end zone from Rage and Review and a couple fans. Hard to tell what's going on in those. But this one was front and center at the 50. You saw guys swinging. You saw guys pushing. I think there was even a guy who kind of like started to swing a helmet. You saw coaches trying to get involved and separate these. I mean, this was as much of a brawl as you've ever seen on a football field, although I guess Grambling and Southern was a little bit worse from what I saw. That one got pretty nasty. But this game is meaningful. It's almost kind of crappy that we're going to lose it. Although it seems like, it was getting pretty heated. Maybe it's best that they part ways, right, Marv?
Yeah, listen, the frustration of never beating them probably aided that. But, we talked about at the beginning of the show, the fact that they've lost so many close games, right? Like, it's probably like another one of those, like, oh, not again. And then you kind of mentioned that as some of the last plays were happening, it was getting really physical and, in the game. So be interesting to see if there's any punishments or suspensions handed down. I know App and Coastal had their little skirmish after the game when Coastal came and planted the flag. I don't think there was any disciplinary actions taken after that. So it'll be kind of interesting to see if this one is treated any differently. I think this one was a little bit more intense of a post-game brawl, but once again, get a bunch of 18 to 22-year-old dudes with a whole bunch of testosterone just got done beating the crap out of each other for 60 minutes. Sometimes you want to go a little extra.
Yeah, I would say that. And I will agree because we had Yuva on from Coastal dealing with questions from the media about this brawl. And that's what I used to describe it because there was so many people that were shoving and pushing. I will say, having watched the video and been there in person, I don't remember seeing people actually throw punches in the App Coastal one. Okay, so I will, defend the fact that no disciplinary action probably even needed to come from that. If you want to get offended about a flag planting and stuff, I mean, sure, you can do that. I don't think you're going to fine a kid or a program or suspend somebody for that action. I wouldn't. I don't think it's that serious of a thing. It's disrespectful. Sure, use it for next season and play better and play harder. This one, we may see some stuff come out of because there were actual punches thrown and people hit, so there could be some stuff that comes out of this one. It wouldn't shock me. But we'll also see if, maybe they come down harder on Texas State knowing that they're leaving. I don't know. I don't know what that will be, but I would assume this one started more on the Texas State side, but we'll see. Artie's a little offended, to not honor the veterans on the Texas State side of things. He said nothing on the uniform, which is definitely surprising for, a Texas program of any kind to not be loud and proud with the military salute there. You can see in the picture on this graphic here for those watching that the Cajuns had the similar, to the shirt I'm wearing, which is the American flag within their Ragin' Cajun name type on the helmet there. But they otherwise went with the black. I mean, it's a good uniform matchup. I'll say that. The all white versus the all black, just easy to see, easily defined. But surprising that they didn't do anything for the veterans in this game. But he says the real heroes are the Bobcat defense. the rising scar of Texas instead of the Stars.
That hurts.
Dissing zone stuff there. So that's rough. But Marv, any last notes on that one?
No, like I said, just feel bad for Texas State, right? Like so many close games and just can't figure out how to win. But Artie, I hope you come back and still watch our show next year once you guys join the whatever conference it is that they're going to call it.
The PAC, whatever. Yeah. I feel like they're still probably trying to add teams in the background. So I really, truly don't know what they'll try and call it. I mean, I guess they'll just try and call it the Pac-12, but I don't know. They could get away with it. They still call the Big Ten the Big Ten, and there's way more teams than 10. So I guess.
Who's counting?
Right. It's just so silly. Like, okay, guys, I understand the brand recognition, but like it's not even accurate now. It's just kind of comical that you have this name that doesn't match at all what you're doing. But I told Marv last week, and I think even the last 2 weeks, I would update the standings and have that as part of the show so we can see this visually and better than just the ESPN graphic here. So it's actually legible for us to use. But we have 2 undefeated teams.
It's kind of important.
Say one more thing.
I said it's kind of important.
Exactly. Yeah.
This time of the year.
Yeah, exactly. JMU, Southern Miss, both undefeated, both on the inside track to represent the East and the West, respectively, in the Sunbelt Championship game. Both have really good overall records as well, right? We know James Madison only has that 1 loss to Louisville. Southern Miss, the 2 losses to both Mississippi State and La Tech. The La Tech one really hurts them. Mississippi State loss you could probably get away with, even though Mississippi State themselves not a great team this season. They've been in some games with some good teams, though, so you could make the argument that they're kind of getting better as Southern Miss kind of has as well. But right behind them on both sides are 2 one-loss teams, Marv.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm just kind of looking ahead at the schedule. So, pretty big game on Thursday night. ODU, Troy in Norfolk. That could really derail the Trojans and, kind of put ODU into a place where they can't win or they can't make it to the championship game. Coastal goes to Georgia Southern this weekend. Coastal's got to win, right? They've got to win every game until they play James Madison to have a chance, because they win that head-to-head. They'll be fine. And then Southern Miss is hosting Texas State. I can anticipate a close game in that one.
Yeah, I think you can. You can probably put money on it.
That's just what Texas State does. So, yeah, a lot of big games, a lot of important football games still to come in the Sun Belt. So it's going to be really fun to watch, see if anybody can catch Southern Miss, see if anybody can catch JMU. But, man, in the East, it could all come down to the last weekend.
Yeah, and Zach throwing that out there, JMU versus Coastal for the East in the last week. I mean, I think that's likely what we will see, but as he said, they've got to take care of Georgia Southern, and we saw they're pesky. I wouldn't say they're great. They're kind of like that app team. They'll probably have plays and some games where they look pretty good, but consistency is the enemy of all of those teams below the top 2 or 3 on each side, right? Like it's just not there. It's in the record. You can look at the record and see it's just not consistent. You're going back and forth quite a bit there. We already have.
And listen, theoretically, James Madison's only got to get through app this weekend, right? Their next game's Washington State. They've got a lot at stake now. They're going to want to win that. But if we're just simply talking who's going to go to the conference championship, they beat app. Then they go on the road to Coastal for that last weekend. Coastal has Georgia State and then South Carolina. So once again, they've got to take care of one team, and that sets up for a de facto conference championship game.
Yeah, Georgia Southern. I think you misspoke at Georgia State. They did just beat Georgia State, but
Southern. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Destiny chiming in and saying Southern Miss leading the West. Who would have guessed? And not TJ. It never would have been TJ. She likes to give TJ a really hard time. It's a good time on Wednesday shows. She's probably going to show up and rib him a little bit more. Someone placed TJ's USM T-shirt order.
Hey, but listen, the West has a very similar scenario, right? So, Troy and Southern Miss will play in the last game. It'll be at Troy, so the second place team right now is the standing sit, gets to host that game. Southern Miss has got Texas State, as we just talked about, and then they go on the road to South Alabama, and Troy's got a big one, like we talked about against ODU, and then they got Georgia State. So be cool to see how this plays out. You could have 2 de facto championship games on the last week, which would be ideal, right? Like that's what you want. You want the storylines. You want your best 2 teams in the conference to have to play the best 2 teams 2 weekends in a row.
Yeah, absolutely. It would help cement any argument for either one to be represented in either a big bowl game or the CFP and James Madison. I just don't think Southern Miss winning out isn't going to be it'd be a long shot for them to still make the CFP with the 2 losses.
They just don't have another big, quote unquote, big name opponent on their schedule, like an out of conference. Like,
right.
JMU's got Washington State, Coastal's got South Carolina. They just don't have it. They didn't win their big game.
Yeah, and Destiny's got a good point here. I fear Texas State. They're not going to stay winless in the conference. I mean, I didn't think they'd be 0-5. But like you said, Marv, they're playing all these close games. Like it's just you can't look at that record and go 3-6, 0-5. Man, these team's not any good. We're going to wipe the floor with them. It ain't going to happen. They stick around. They hang around. Now, all that being said, and my dad, who's a former football player, said this same thing. I've heard it from other people as well. Same thing with the app program right now. I'm sure Georgia State's in the same field as South Alabama. When you are expected to be good or expected to win more than you have, and you're not doing it, and now it's consistent losing at this point, how much is the offense and the defense getting along? Are they yelling at each other? Is it moving over to the locker room? Is it something that's a problem in practice. And there's just no flow or chemistry now when you get into the game because you guys aren't even working as a cohesive unit. You're battling each other. Like, why didn't you guys pick up the first down? Why didn't you stop them on third? Those things can make it worse. So we'll see how Texas State rounds out because, like Destiny said, it's hard. It's almost hard to go winless, right? Like you match up with somebody who you should win against. But we'll see what transpires there. We got a heck of a finish, as you said, Marv. And those out-of-conference games are interesting. Again, less so for JMU because they can't afford to take any games off, right? They have to win everything. If they want any shot at CFP, you have to win everything, and you also have to win by as many points as possible. Coastal doesn't need to win against South Carolina. They could save some of their stuff or save some of their players or, call the dogs off early if it's not close enough for that James Madison game, whereas James Madison has to go full throttle the whole way because they must win to keep pace with anybody else in the CFP conversation. So that's, an element there that becomes very interesting.
No, JMU's got to win 4 games in a row, and they probably need to win a couple of those convincingly, to be completely honest. Like you said, it'll be really interesting to see where the CFP poll has them on Tuesday night. I think that's going to be a good gauge for like how realistic is this.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if they're in there, then they're proving they have the inside track. If there's still no G5s ranked at all, they can do whatever they want. If I listen to the JMU sports blog guys, kind of the initial guys from JMU side. Now they've got Sound Off and they've got a couple other ones. These guys were here from the very start, and he brought up a good point. If they just hide it, then they can decide whoever they want at the end. They don't have to be like, well, we chose to move them because of this. And no, they don't have to explain anything because they didn't rank any of them, right? So, like, it would be interesting to see if they almost do that on purpose again, just so that they could be like, we're just not going to have to – we don't want to explain it, so we're just going to say this team would be the one we'd pick, but, like, no real explanation because that's exactly what they did last week, right? Memphis was shown on a graphic, no information about, like, why, really, just like, hey, this is the team we'd pick if we had to, but that's just kind of what we're doing. It's not like, well, let's spell out why we picked that one over. They did it with everything else. They didn't do it with the G5, so a little interesting. But again, to note, it's not a G5 spot. It's the best 5 conference champs and then seeding throughout. So more than one can make it. Again, I just think that's extremely unlikely with everything we've seen from what history has shown us. But any last news or notes before we get out of here, Marv?
No, just looking forward to the Thursday night game and hopefully get another really good conference week off on the right foot.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we're going to get a good one in that Troy and ODU game. Check out Don't Sleep Energy on their shop or Amazon shop, and Phenom Elite at your local Dick's Sporting Goods or online at phenomelite.com. And we will see you guys for Wednesday's preview. Thanks.
See y'all.